Hello, and welcome to another wonderful episode of
ICUBED,
the show where we are quarantined in a house and have to... I was trying to implement something about the coronavirus, but...
Yeah, well, I mean, my classes are all virtual starting next week, so you're stuck with me.
Which is a good thing.
It's a good thing indeed.
My name is Nashawn.
And I'm Stephanie.
And we are ICUBED, meaning interracial,
international,
and intercultural advice, dating, whether you're in a marriage, whether you're engaged, whether you're in any kind of relationship.
With people.
And this show is just about giving the advice, the crucial advice that we think should be given to a general audience. I feel like people should know these things.
Exactly. I believe so too. Some nuggets about how to live life.
But I feel like a lot of people don't know these things. It's the thing that everyone thinks everyone else knows, but when it comes down to it, turns out they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided we'd make this channel to help educate people through our experiences and
what we've learned and our mistakes.
This week's episode is a fun one.
We are talking about how to apologize, which, by the way, I have learned most of my skills from my wonderful husband here.
Me.
He is an excellent communicator and he's taught me a lot and I'm still learning from him. And one thing that I really admired from him was how easily he was always able to apologize and recognize mistakes and not be fake about it. Like actually be serious about the apology and serious about making a change. And so I think that most of us are not taught how to apologize correctly.
That is a great point. It starts when we're children. Mm-hmm. They say, you need to apologize. You need to do this. You need to say you're sorry. It's not something that we're learned.
Well, the only context in which we're taught most of the times is parent versus child, and not really equal parts, or even when it's you being the right one, even though you're lower in the hierarchy, and how that, the person who's higher in the hierarchies should be able to accept that he or she made a mistake.
That is to say, people who have more authority when they're wrong, which a lot of times people in authority are never wrong.
Be able to apologize on both ends.
Yes.
Is very important. Which, by the way, that's one thing I wanted to mention before we dive into our steps, which is there is an unhealthy way of apologizing and there's a healthy way of apologizing. I think that if you're apologizing for pretty much every little mistake you make or every second sentence or so is an apology, that's not a healthy way of apologizing. And I would want to kind of point back to the episode that we filmed previously, which is toxic relationships. Have a look at that to understand what I mean by unhealthy apologizing.
We're going to get right into it. There are 5 steps that we have figured out in this order.
And honestly, it's a matter of practice too.
Perfect practice makes
perfect?
Yeah, they always say practice makes perfect, but if you practice something the wrong way, you're going to get really good at doing it the wrong way.
Okay.
So it's actually perfect practice that makes perfect.
Smart.
There you go. And I learned that in wrestling.
Okay.
I think there is a correct way of apologizing, for sure. And maybe even more so, a healthy way of apologizing.
Even better, yeah.
And even better. The first step is this. You ask, how did I hurt you? In some way, shape, or form. If your partner is injured or hurt or feeling some type of way, whether it's justified or whether it's not, we need to approach him with this position of, how did I affect you? How did what I did affect you? Because obviously I did something, you trust me in some way, and I did something that is causing you to be affected by the things that I did.
Yes. And I think that you have a great point there, which is whether justified or not, it's good to approach a situation of conflict with giving space or room for me having been, the wrongdoer. Not to say that I need to constantly be self-accusing myself for anything, but just be aware that this is a team. We're in a partnership. And if we want to grow together and be strengthened throughout even our conflict, we need to approach each other humbly.
Oh, humility is a key point in this. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. What matters is the truth being expressed in love. And sometimes their truth is a little bit different than yours. And so it's always important to get perspective. There's a phrase that I always say, you can do the right thing in the wrong way, and you can do the wrong thing in the right way. So it doesn't matter about whether you're right or wrong. It matters about the truth and its expression being in love. And love always seeks to build up another person.
Wow, my wise sage.
I'm looking for my
Your little white whiskers.
my whiskers to stroke.
Point number 2 is listen for triggers and reactions. Once the person answers the question, how have my actions affected you, or how have I hurt you, you need to be able to stop and listen quietly. Don't go arguing every second. And then also understand that this person is expressing triggers and what the reaction to that trigger is.
So could you give me an example?
Yes. So for example, if I were to tell you, hey, I'm actually really hurt by the fact that you didn't call me yesterday all day when I had asked you to call me in the evening. And I'm actually really angry about that. So here the trigger is, you didn't call. My reaction is, I'm angry. Map that out in your head to understand where this person is coming from with her hurt.
So the trigger point is, here's what I expected. Here's something I expected from you, whether justified or unjustified, whether I knew it or whether I didn't know it. You expected something, and I was triggered because of your failure to meet my expectations within.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay. So I think on that listening part, so it's the first thing again is asking, hey, how have I harmed you? How have I hurt you in this way? Or something along those lines. And then the second thing is to listening, because we're talking about how to apologize.
Yes.
So we're talking about the person who is apologizing. We're talking to you. Mm-hmm. Okay. So to listen for those things that they say, oh, okay, that they expected you to do, whether you knew or whether you didn't know.
Exactly.
Listen for those things that they expected and realize, whether you knew it or whether you didn't, that you may not have reached that expectation. Whether you did or whether you didn't, it doesn't matter. It's okay to accept that. It doesn't mean that you accept that you're in the wrong or you're like the worst person ever. It just means that you're accepting and you're seeing, hey, I see your point. I understand where you're coming from. And I did do that in the way that you are expressing it.
So, for example, in my example that I just gave,
I'm the one who's asking you, right? So I ask you, I'm asking you something first, right? I'm asking you, it seems like you're pretty hurt. How did I hurt you, or what did I do?
you didn't call me yesterday evening, and I'm really angry because you didn't.
So now I'm listening, and I hear she says, oh, I didn't call her yesterday. I probably should have. I didn't. She expected me to. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I didn't hear. Maybe I didn't know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean not to call you. I forgot, or I didn't read that text message that told me to do so.
Yes, and that is step number 3, which is acknowledging your mistake or the hurt that you caused.
I didn't even read step 3.
Yes.
And I flowed right into it.
You flowed right into it naturally.
I'm so proud. Acknowledging your mistakes. A simple acknowledgement is, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Most of the time, I can guarantee you are not trying to hurt the person that you love. Most of the time, we are not intentionally trying to cause pain and cause harm to these people. If that's the case, it's okay to just say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. That was not my intention. I wasn't trying to do that. But I recognize that me being fallible and not knowing everything, that I did do that. And that stinks. I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Oh, you're so good at that.
Lots of practice.
Lots of practice. Okay, connected to that, step number 4 is understand the source of emotions, which implies potentially asking additional questions.
This also implies a very interesting word called empathy. Learning how to be empathetic towards people. And it's very different than being sympathetic towards them.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry that you are hurting. That makes me, if you're apologizing to someone, it's not about you being sympathetic with them, because then that just makes them feel bad that you're sympathizing with the fact that you caused them pain and hurt. And that's not really good for a healthy relationship. It's actually kind of, what's the word? If I sympathize with you.
Arrogant.
It's kind of, it's a little arrogant.
Yeah, because it's like you're brushing it off. It's
Yes.
just your problem,
You have this problem.
I'm not connected to
and
that.
The thing is, yes, you need to connect yourself to that person in that way. Mm-hmm. So understand And maybe sometimes within this empathetic experience that you're going through with them, you say, so are you saying that you feel hurt because I didn't call you back? Okay.
Why is that?
Why is that?
So, for example, when we go back to our little story with the call that never happened, maybe
The call that never was.
The call that never was.
If we're going to do it right.
Maybe I'm just angry and hurt because I was actually really worried that you didn't make it safely home.
Oh, I see. Now I'm understanding because the question I asked, because I'm trying to understand, she wasn't hurt because I didn't call her, something like stupid like that. Internally, she was actually hurt because she was really worried about me. And
I was afraid for you, I was fearful for you, and I just wanted to know that you had gotten home safe.
there was some fear there. And really, it's her care and concern for me. That's why she was so upset. And maybe she's experienced something in her past that she needs to work through or hasn't worked through, where people have abandoned her or who have left her or who have not been there for her. And now I'm understanding, the root of her issues and the root of why she's feeling this way is because this reason. Gosh, that makes sense.
Yes.
Now I understand that. I'm sorry. I did not mean to make you feel that way.
That's step number 5. Very naturally transitioned.
Very naturally transitioned. Apologize. Step number 5 is apologize. And then learn to make that change. Be aware of the fact that you acknowledge that the source or the issue that she's dealing with is an internal issue that she is struggling with. I'm not with her, and I want to protect her. If you haven't seen that episode, go back to what men and what women want.
Yes.
But I want to protect her, and in protecting her, I want to make sure that I don't forget, wow, she cares about me. She was really worried about me. I don't want to make her worry about me.
Yes.
So because I don't want to make her worry about me, I'm going to make sure I call her and let her know, hey, I'm doing all right. Or, hey, I can't talk right now, but here's a text. Love you, this, that, and the other.
So in summary, to apologize means to first ask, then listen, then acknowledge, then understand, and apologize while making a change.
Do we have a wrap for this?
No.
Ask, listen, acknowledge, understand, apologize.
Oh. That didn't quite work out.
Oh, I'm injured.
I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of
ICUBED.
And we very much appreciate all of your guys' love, support, fans, family, friends, people in our lives that watch this show and who get anything out of this. And if you guys do get something out of this, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and be sure to, continue to be in contact with us. That's it.
All right. See you next week.
Excuse me. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.